I have a case.
Okay.
This is a patient of mine who's 46 years old, a woman who has very many different physical illnesses that require many medications, and
How many illnesses does she have?
how many, pardon me?
How many illnesses does she have?
You want me to start a list or to count in
Yes.
my head? Okay, yes.
Just count in your head.
Nine, then I can give diagnoses to.
Okay. Now you select 9 illnesses.
So just pick people.
Okay. And you are the client. We see what should be the next move. Now you go to each one of them and bow with respect. I will now ask the illnesses what has changed. Yes, if you come a little bit further here for the camera.
At first I was very attracted to her. I felt like going over and just attaching myself to her. And after she bowed, I didn't feel that way anymore. I felt detached.
Weaker after she bowed. Weaker after she bowed.
At first I felt very angry at her until she looked at me, and then I softened. It was okay.
First, I felt powerful and then released, At first I felt more connected to her, and I couldn't look at her, and then I felt a healthy connection with her.
I felt like I was very strong and I could protect her. And after she bowed, I got weak and I wasn't interested in her anymore.
Sad and dissociated, and then happy.
This was the most severe illness. You could see that.
Uncertainty and relief. I felt like I was the first, and I had to watch and see if everything was really authentic.
What has changed with you?
What was interesting to me is when I first stood among them, I felt very strong, very powerful. And I won't say weak because I don't feel weak now, but I felt relieved and softer after I did it. And I knew he was my first illness. It was so interesting. And I knew that I had to have her look in my eyes or I couldn't move on. And I wasn't sure she would. So I had anxiety most anxiety when I looked to her. But they were people, very clearly.
Of course.
People. And, I have some sense of maybe where, for her, I know her better now, my patient.
Yes, illnesses are people. And the way you behave towards them affects you see. First you were arrogant, see, superior, despise them. And these are people who are rejected in the family.
I didn't get it until I got to her. Then I got it. Before that I kind of had to make myself do it. Then it was very genuine, somehow I knew her as a person. And then everybody else was obviously a person.
Now you are clear?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Last year in Hong Kong, there was a woman who had 11 illnesses. So I placed her there and the illnesses around her. And many of them were very sad and fell to the floor and so on. But it was the last consolation, that workshop. The time was over. And so I cut it a little bit short. And then a few weeks later, I had a workshop in Taiwan, and she came to that workshop. She was completely changed. And I asked her what happened in her family. That yes, many of her brothers and sisters died or were sold. 4 of them were sold. And there were many abortions in the family. I said, how many altogether? She said, 11. So we set them up again, 11, and she in the middle. And the parents we placed outside of them. And she bowed to each of them. She looked them in the eye. And at the end, she took her place in the circle, and the parents as well. It was a wonderful reunion. By the way, this constellation you can watch in that video from Taiwan. The last one, it's in there. Is it still available in DVD?
They're in DVD though. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So very strange, you see, when you have to deal with people, if you bear that in mind, that very often the illness represents a person, then you can deal with it much easier. See? Yesterday in the workshop we also had that example, you see, with the cancer. So cancer represented a dead person. Okay, good.